welcome to the Next Move in Conveyancing podcast. I'm your host, Kev Tunnicliffe, and we'll be discussing all things property and legal. Let's get into today's episode. Hello and welcome to today's podcast. Today we've got Louise Stevens Pantoja from LPL. Hi Louise.
Hi.
Would you like to just introduce yourself?
Of course, yeah, no problem. I'm Head of Ops at LPL and I've been in conveyancing for about 9 years. I have been in financial services prior to that, probably coming close to 40 years. And so I know lots about the market and the industry and bring a wealth of experience with me. Looking forward, having been a mortgage broker and worked for a lender, seeing the legal side of transactions. It's been a bit of an eye-opener.
Similar journey, although I'm a lender. Yeah, 25 years a mortgage broker. Mm-hmm. Not a qualified conveyancer. Never done conveyancing. But obviously on the mortgage side of it, you learn a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then when you're in your law firm, you actually learn an awful lot very quickly.
Absolutely.
So a number of questions we're going to ask today. Don't feel like it is a question answer, but more of a conversation. Mm-hmm. I've got a bit of a passion at the minute about how I want to change the industry or be part of something that changes the industry. I keep saying I want to change it. Obviously it's impossible to do it on your own. But probably ask some questions about what works well with you guys, what you see as issues across the industry, and what everybody with that vested interest, what could be done to do things differently so that ultimately the client gets a better journey. Mm-hmm. So on a day-to-day basis, what is it you actually do at LPL?
What do I do? It's a real mixed bag. I get involved with making sure that the client journey is as seamless as possible, making sure that our introducers are happy, that there's no problems, making sure that the workflows work well and are still fit for purpose, because things do change quite quickly in the arena, and basically a troubleshooter, I suppose. I look at data, analyse data, make sure that actually we're not missing out on any opportunities, that there's anything that we can pick up, and pass that on to our clients, introducers, and attract more people to come both on a recruitment side and from a transactional point of view. Who can we help? I do presentations, I do a bit of new business and sales. Basically anything that needs doing, I will pick it up and get involved.
A number of things off that. I could lead into lots of different questions. Recruitment, obviously, very topical, and a huge challenge for the industry. But what is it that excites you most about the job that you do and the future really of conveyancing?
Getting good outcomes. So whether that's for the client, whether that's an introducer, just good outcomes. Okay.
Question we try and start most of these podcasts with is conveyancing fit for purpose in 2026?
I think as with all processes, there's things that work, there's things that don't work. The thing with conveyancing is it's almost entrenched in our culture. There's so much that you could change, so much that actually you have to do from a legality point of view. And I think that in order to make it fit for purpose and to drive any real meaningful change, we need collaboration from so many different parties to come together and agree on what that is.
So I suppose to backtrack a little bit, if you described the 2026 home buying process in one word, what would that word be?
That's really tricky. I could give you several words. I think
make them polite.
Always polite. It depends who you ask. I think clients would potentially say frustrating. Estate agents possibly stressful, frustrating. Everybody thinks that it's longer than it needs to be. But that's usually not down to one party. Usually that's due to information that's required and the immense amount of regulation that solicitors in particular are facing. without any real streamlined answer provided. But we are getting there. We are finding ways to streamline, the new obligations.
So you probably joined the conveyancing sector then probably eight years ago, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And even just in that space of time, you've seen the amount of work that a conveyancer has to do.
Huge changes.
Increase dramatically.
Huge changes.
On a previous podcast, we was looking at one of those, in particular being source of wealth. And within Sort Legal, that's probably the biggest challenge that we have.
Massively.
We have full-time employees just purely looking at where's that money been amassed. So it isn't really just proving that somebody's got the money, it's where has it come from.
That's right.
And I don't feel that the rest of the industry probably understands that sufficiently.
Absolutely.
I don't know whether you get it as well at LPL, but we have brokers screaming at us, I've already done that. Why on earth do you need to do that again?
Absolutely. The lender's happy with it. Why are they not happy with it? Why are they looking at affordability? And I think it is just a misunderstood area.
Yeah. But obviously it rests solely on the shoulders of the conveyancer.
Absolutely.
So where do you think the system still works, but where does it fall short?
I think it falls short in the speed at which we are able to progress matters. We're reliant on so many other parties who, as you've just alluded to, they feel that they've already done this or they've already answered that, or, we could obtain this information from somewhere else. But because we are reliant on the seller's solicitor in a purchase, it's not enough for us to go and find that information ourselves. It's not enough for the broker to tell us what the answer is, or for even the client to tell us what the answer is. We have to rely on it from the seller's solicitor. And those representations, they may well, I'm not saying that anybody drags the heels, but very often, because of the bureaucracy, they have to go and get it from the management company, or from when their client purchased the property, perhaps. So there's so many layers that it's really important to understand that everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants to complete the transaction, but because of the bureaucracy involved, we are all waiting for somebody else to give us the answer.
So is therefore a possible solution that there is a bit of a shift in terms of, people want to see home buying reforms, and I think it's probably a complete change in terms of who provides what and when. Personally, and I don't mind standing up in front of everybody and saying I don't think that huge change is necessary. I think what we need to do is give people time to actually do the job. But there is a part to play at upfront information and starting that journey much faster, or much earlier in the process.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, obviously due diligence is vitally important, and everybody has to do the due diligence. However, why can't we share that? Why can it not be done by one party and then all other parties rely on it? I think the reform will need to be a massive education piece. People will need to change attitudes from the very top. So the individual regulators, each of the individual regulators that are involved, they've all place individual obligations on each of the parties, and I think that's where the problem is, because our obligation is to satisfy ourselves. So we can't rely on anybody else's representations. We have to satisfy ourselves. Now, I think one answer might be to have one regulator that regulates the whole of the profession. How that would work in practice, I don't know. But definitely there needs to be some cohesion and collaboration, and I think there's just not enough of that at the moment. People are pitted against each other rather than actually, we all want to do this together. Let's work together.
Yeah, but if you come back from a broker background, you know that for years the industry has always butted heads.
Absolutely,
it's never done anything where it actually starts to work together.
I agree completely.
To get those same outcomes. I personally feel that we're at a point in time now where people are starting to realise actually the best outcome is where we actually do that.
I agree completely.
So, in terms of if we all had a blank piece of paper, I think we'd probably design it differently to how it currently works.
Yeah.
So rather than a reform, is it just a case of we need to change the processes and really get that client engaged much earlier with an education piece as to why they need to do that?
I agree completely, yeah. And I think the education piece is for everybody, not just for the clients. I think everybody needs to accept that, and understand what everybody's role is. Because I think there's a lot of cross.
I said it earlier. It's like coming into this after 15, 20 years as a broker. Yeah, you actually learn so much more about conveyancing when you sat with it day in, day out.
Absolutely.
And you realise that actually you didn't understand a fat lot about
anything
what you've recommended.
Mm-hmm. Particularly source of funds and source of wealth. It's just a massive area. Yeah. And I get it day in, day out. Why do you need to do this? Why are you going back 10 years to find out where I got this inheritance from? We as conveyancers, nobody wants to look at more bank statements than they need to look at, believe me. Yeah. But it's...
I was told a story about somebody that the builder wanted the solicitor to accept the deposit that had come from Zimbabwean gold, and there was no receipts for it, but there was a picture, there was a photo, here's the gold, a picture of some gold. It's like, you really want the law firm to accept that? That's just not likely to happen, is it? So right from builders, lenders, across the whole piece is. But is there more that people could do?
Definitely.
To help with that?
I think so. And I suppose a similar instance is where we need a deed of variation. And, all too often we hear, you don't need that, you can just accept indemnity. Well, of course, it's not us that are not accepting the indemnity, it's the lender that's not accepting the indemnity. So we obviously are all acting for the lender as well as the client. We've got to protect their interests, and if they tell us that they want a deed of variation, then that's right. We just they will rely on our representations. So we've got to make sure, and I think that understanding again of who does what, why they're doing it, and like I say, we don't want to have a long drawn out deed of variation. It's not that we want to charge the client more so that we can do it. Doesn't make any difference to us. In fact, the way that our charging structure is, it's of benefit for us to complete everything as quickly as possible so that we get paid.
Do you think we could probably help ourselves a bit more and say we, in terms of solicitors, that when that situation arises, we could do more to communicate about what needs to be done, why, and not just to the client, but to all parties involved?
I think generally speaking, you're probably right. There needs to be clear lines of communication to all parties. At LPL, we're quite good at that. We let the clients know as soon as possible if we suspect that there may be the need for a deed of variation. So before we've even reported to the lender, we will obviously just let the client know, this is what potentially our fees might be, and there will be a delay to the transaction, and it will be dependent on whether the landlord or managing agent or whoever wants to engage and will accept a deed of variation. I know that not all parties are, not all firms work in the same way, but from our perspective, we are quite clear about that, whether it's to the mortgage broker, whether it's to the estate agent. But equally, a lot of the time, the reason for that deed of variation could be discovered a lot sooner than when it gets to the...
Just about to ask you that.
Really, yeah.
One of my kids, he bought a new build house and had no idea there was a rent charge on it.
Right.
And therefore, when he came to remortgage, he hadn't paid any fees. Now, luckily, and I think that they've now changed enforcement entitlement.
Well, they've had to. Yeah, they've had to do it. Yeah.
But what it led to was extra costs when it came to doing the remortgage. Now, obviously at that point the broker's been out, sold a mortgage. Clients bought into that, and there may have been a route of a product transfer as opposed to a full-on remortgage. And then to do the remortgage, you then establish well, actually, there's far more cost.
Yeah.
Is that then the solicitor's fault, or would it have changed the broker's advice if they'd known about it much earlier in the process?
Well, it might have changed the decision, definitely, because you would, if there was another alternative, such as a product transfer or even selling the property or whatever, it would definitely change the decision making process. And there's no reason why that can't be discovered much sooner, because people, the information is there, readily available for somebody. But again, it's people taking ownership of that and and looking for it. I mean, at the moment, there's no requirement for them to look at it, so why would they? But definitely, the earlier that those things are identified, and also then the client's prepared for what they need to go through, and having made the decision, no, actually, the remortgage is better for me. They're doing that in the knowledge that actually it is going to take a little bit longer and will probably be more expensive. They could have even checked out with the landlord or managing agent if it was possible. Yeah. Because again, that's disappointing when we say, "Oh, actually, no, we won't enter into one." Yeah,
I think would that also save quite a lot of work?
Huge amount of work.
And so, with obviously, I wear two hats. I've got sort refer, obviously, and sort legal. And what it does it just allows you to look at all the major
options,
all the major problems that you're going to encounter, and then look at what can you do to make it better. So we're looking at technology all the time in terms of what can it do to assist within legal, because then obviously whatever works we can take to panel. But I think I'm just convinced at the minute we're at a point in time where if we don't do something as an industry to help ourselves, then those decisions will be taken out of our hands.
I agree completely.
And you'll have a complete change in the process of buying and selling a house, and I'm not convinced that's to the betterment of the client.
No, absolutely not. I think tech has a massive part to play, but that's got to be underpinned by strong client service, strong communication, and or even the best tech will fall down.
So interestingly, that leads right on to the next question in terms of service and communication. You'll probably remember back as your time as a broker, the biggest issue you had was one of communication. Massive. You had no idea what was really going on, and if you tried to ring the law firm, you couldn't get hold of them. I remember even further back to that, where the solicitor, you'd ring the solicitor and go, "Have I rang you?" "No, I've not rang you. I've got nothing to tell you." So off, and only bother me when I've got something to tell you.
That's exactly why LPL was founded. That's exactly where that was it was the brainchild of, because Fiaz and I worked together as mortgage brokers and at the lender as well, and it was that total almost ivory tower point of view that the solicitors took on our frustration with the legalities and the actual legal side of the progress.
But frustrations, it still took 4 to 6, 8 weeks to complete. So even back then, back in the early 90s, you could complete a house within 6 weeks.
Oh, definitely.
But obviously, there was far less work for the lawyers to do back then. But have the fees gone up any since? I'd say probably not. No. So we had the levelling up meetings. Fiaz was part of that, and a big thing that really came from it, from my perspective, we called them levelling up meetings, and without being accused of trying to run a cartel on pricing, is like, guys, you call it how you like, you're just not charging enough. The 28, 29 law firms that were there, is like, you're not going to be able to deliver what you need to deliver with the fee that you're charging. But we looked at that. So we looked at pricing, and sort referrers for the last 2 years have been trying to encourage all firms to put the price up. And if again, this is determined price fixing. The more that do it, the more it will follow suit. And that can only be a good thing, because it allows you to take less cases, which then gives you that ability to deliver that better service and actually communicate far better than what we are doing at the minute. Because I don't think there's a single firm on panel that suffered from the communication piece. We've been going 17 years now, and we'll have periods where everybody probably got too much work and the service levels drop. And as soon as the service levels drop, it is that communication piece that everybody moans about. But are we at a point where estate agents are prepared to pay more, or brokers are prepared to pay more, so that you can deliver that better service by reducing down the caseloads and giving the people the ability to actually do the job? And I'm convinced that if we do that, and we start to see a reduction in caseloads, we'll start to see a reduction in completion times. And we've brought out an enhanced product internally where the aim is that you try and get to exchange within 28 days. And then as an industry, I'm part of something called Project 28, where that is doing exactly the same thing. It's getting the mindset of the people doing the job that we need to be exchange ready a lot faster.
Yeah.
And do you believe that a mindset change is needed within the conveyancing sector, within really not the sector, the people doing the actual job?
Yeah, I agree completely agree. We've got case handlers that we handle auction cases. They're 28-day exchange. We handle we don't specify that we'll only handle freehold cases on that basis. So we do complex matters, but because all of that information that's required, the vast majority of it is available day one in that auction pack. Obviously that facilitates it. So if it can work at auction, why can it not work in the wider in the wider market? You alluded to a mindset change. You more than alluded to it. You spoke about a mindset change, and I think that is absolutely key. People are used to things taking 8 to 12 weeks, 25 weeks for anything that's affected by the BSA. So I think it's really important to it's not just about caseload, because our conveyancers, we are really mindful of caseloads. We keep the caseloads low. We make sure that their freehold to complex matter ratio is good, so they're not overworked. They're not, they're not under pressure. But I think that only works if you've got somebody on the other side with a similar mindset, because you can only work as quickly as the slowest party. And so that's when I talk about collaboration and cohesion and such. Everybody needs to be of the same mindset. But
the obvious is you'll only be as fast as the slowest person in the chain.
Exactly. Yeah. So everybody needs to be of that, working towards 28 days as opposed to, and you know what, if you're working towards 28 days but it actually is 2 months, then it's out of your hands. But so long as you're pushing and proactively moving things along, I think that's the best you can do.
What's the industry average now? Is it about 14 to 16 weeks to complete?
Yeah.
So if you exchange ready a lot faster, you're going to hopefully start to complete faster, which will obviously bring those times down.
Exactly.
And I don't believe that we can do it overnight. No. And yes, you can be ready on the time frame that you're stipulating to. If you're not, you can communicate and tell the client why not.
Exactly.
So there's no surprises.
Yeah.
There's no argument. This isn't a guarantee we're going to be there at that point. This is a best endeavours.
Yeah.
And the more that the industry, the more everybody starts to think that way, because we're part of Project 28. I keep saying, do our terms of business reflect that? No, the terms of business is still stating the industry average, and therefore, unless I can start getting all my case handlers thinking, well, it might say that, however, I need to be doing this much faster, and giving them the ability to do that, then you're never going to win.
It's pointless, isn't it? Yeah, it's just empty lip service.
So, I mean, a couple of questions. It says, do you think customers understand what they're actually paying for in conveyancing?
Absolutely not. No, they have no clue.
And who's to blame for that?
I think it's a combination of a lack of knowledge. I mean, most clients don't do this every day. Some only do it once every 40 years or whatever. And things change. Although the process, as we've just talked about, hasn't changed in a long time, the day-to-day running and technology that supports that does change. And I think we shouldn't expect our clients to have any clue or idea.
So is that an industry education piece?
I think it's definitely an industry education piece. We try to do our bit. We provide the clients with so much information with the initial paperwork, useful guides, tips, hints.
And even read it.
Exactly. It's available on our website. We do videos that, how to help, how long will the process take? Conveyancing guide. This is what to expect throughout the process. And but again, it's they're not really interested. They just want their new keys to the new house.
Yeah. That's their focus, isn't it? Right,
of
I
course
found
it
it
is.
and I want
Absolutely,
it.
yeah. And to be fair, they're paying us to do it. So, why not just let us get on with it? But probably once a week we get asked about the survey results when we're coming around to do the survey. And I think that's a popular misconception that, that's outside of our remit. We don't do that. Again, I think teeing the client up at the outset, whether that's the estate agent or the mortgage broker, I think, is that too early in the process? Not if we're all working together and collaborating. I think that's the ideal time. Okay, this is your first house that you're buying. This is what you can expect. I'm going to do this. Then you're going to have a mortgage broker who's going to do that. And then the lawyers will do the legal part. The lender will lend you the money based on, the representation from the lender, from the lawyer who's going to recommend advice.
But if people that want to see the reforms get their way, you're going to see far more expense for the person selling the house. So if they've got to get the survey around at the start, if they've got to start doing the auction type pack, so that you're legally ready, so searches are done and some of the legal work's done, then does it really need that change again? Or if the client's made aware that, right, okay, for, I don't know, let's say 150 quid, we're going to get you legally ready in terms of all the protocol forms done. We'll do the title check and we'll do a brief look at that title and let you know that, once you've found a buyer, this is either going to sail through because it's straightforward, or it's going to be really complicated because of Building Safety Act or complicated lease or whatever. Is that almost a halfway house? Guys, we don't need a complete reform. However, early engagement for those that want to do it, for those that want to move quickly, just educate them, well, this is what you can do. It might cost you a nominal amount to do all of this, but at least then when you found a buyer, you can move on it much quicker. People then have got a decision, right, well, yeah, that's fine. Or I'm not really bothered, I don't want to move until November time, so I've got 7 months anyway. I
think it's a great idea to give them a choice, because is the choice, if you're giving them the choice of the cost up front, that is their decision, rather than it being forced upon them when they are selling to purchase all of these things to get something exchange ready, when actually it potentially is the buyer that should be paying for it, because it's their priority to move quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's your view on fees?
We are competitive. I don't think we've any desire to be the cheapest. We value very much the expertise of our people, and in order to support that and ensure that we've got ample people to manage capacities and do a good job, deliver a quality service and good outcomes, then we charge appropriately for it.
And as an industry,
I think there's a lot of talk about everybody dropping fees in a rush to get lots of business. That's not our business model at all. We would much rather do less, earn more, and be able to value the team that we've got and their expertise. I think the additional fees that are incurred as a result of, late notice about deed of variation, or, things that are perceived as the solicitor just adding costs on, I think is, that again would be eliminated by that early engagement and early finding out of stuff. It would allow you to charge appropriately and more comprehensive quotes for clients, rather than adding them on at the end.
I think there's a bit of a scramble and noise about transparency.
Yeah.
And I think additional fees was obviously one of the very things we looked at early in the piece with sort refer. And all we've ever said to people is when you do a quote on our system, all you can ever quote is vanilla.
Yeah.
Yes, you can put down if it's shared ownership, if there's help to buy, if there's gifted deposits and all that sort of stuff. But until you've actually done the legal work, we don't know how complex the title is and how complex the legal work is going to be. So transparency is for me key.
Huge.
But as long as when somebody's providing a quote, whether it be on our system or any of the other various systems that are out there, is make it clear to the client this is vanilla.
Yeah.
Anything that's more complicated, and you get charged more for it.
And we do send a copy of our additional fee list to all clients with the initial pack, so they can see, again, how many people read it, and also would they actually know if any of those applied. But we do send it to them so that they at least can have an idea of what they could be looking at.
We've always said, as long as you can justify it, and as long as you don't take the mickey with it, there's always going to be additional fees.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know until you've looked at it.
And our additional fees are reasonable. They reflect adequately the amount of additional work that's involved and the type of person. Because obviously, different levels of seniority and experience are required to do different. Yes. Whether it's a complex additional fee or whether it's we try to be as fair and transparent as possible.
So is this where people will be screaming if they're listening to this and saying, well, again, if you get that up front, if the vendor does engage, then you can really start to give a much better indication.
Absolutely.
When there's an interested party. I'm massively passionate about fees increasing. Yes, there's competitive edge all the time. We're in business for that. But as an industry, I just hugely believe that they've got to go up.
Definitely.
And when you compare, if you consider, again, back to when you was broking, the average prop fee that you used to earn because of the average mortgage size, and by nature of the house prices going up and average mortgage going up, brokers are now earning far more than what they were when we was advising. Has the conveyancing fees gone up? No. Has the amount of work gone up? Yes. So you're losing both ways. So, is it valued enough? Yeah.
Probably not. As an industry, I think it's overlooked. I think people think it's a tick box exercise when in actual fact the people that are doing it are really, they're good at what they do. They're, they're qualified, they're intelligent, and on the whole, and it's a massively undervalued occupation. Vocation.
I'm hugely believe in that. And again, what we spoke about in previous and what we're trying to talk about, the levelling up, is if you do reduce those caseloads and charge more for it, you don't just deliver that better service and complete faster. You're actually producing more time to train. So as long as us as business owners and leaders, put that effort into that fear and say, right, not only are you doing this, we want to make you better at it. So train. We didn't another one train them to leave. If they've got the desire to run their own practice, well, we've got to give them all the tools to do that.
Definitely.
And
we have an in-house academy for training conveyancers, and we found that homegrown talent is it works best for us. I think we talked about a little earlier about the challenges of recruitment, and so we take them at an entry level. Really, some of them straight from school, it's their first job, and others, they come after university or whatever, and then their aspirations, provided they can display the relative competencies, we've got a training department, and they can apply to go on the trainee programme, and some of the success stories we've had have been phenomenal. And not only with that support and development, you're not creating just the best team ever, that they've got no baggage, they're completely, that they're yours. They buy into that, and I
culture.
think they buy into the culture. And some of our best conveyancers have come, and some started in the post room as apprentices, or just unrelated jobs, and they're here. They've built careers, and really successful careers at a senior level.
Because it is. I remember again, very early days, we was dealing with a firm who were looking to expand, and a big part of the decision was, could we give them more work if they did. And a year in, they'd move offices, they'd recruit a lot of people, but what they saw was a little bit of a merry-go-round, and it really taught me a lot back then. You look at how much it costs to recruit somebody.
Absolutely.
And then within a year they might have gone somewhere else. I think unless you can get that culture right, I mean, ultimately they got the culture right, they didn't lose many of their staff, but if you don't, and you overwork the people, and we've seen it probably twice in our cycle within Sort Legal, where the work, post-COVID, it was horrific.
Awful,
and you see those people that the grass is greener somewhere else, and they go somewhere else, and they're ringing not long ago, it probably wasn't any better anywhere else. I do believe we've got as an owner, I've got a role to play in terms of getting that. The culture bit is spot on.
Definitely.
If your culture's right and you're not overworking the people, there's got to be. I do believe there's got to be an element of stress within conveyancing.
Yeah, it's a balance.
But it's got to be manageable, and to the point where it's not burnout. And I think we've definitely seen over the period burnout happen way too much.
Burnout, it's awful, and I've seen it time after time after time, and I think it's a combination of things. I don't think it's just having too many cases. I don't think it's just I don't think there's any one factor. I think it's probably a bit of culture, support that they receive. Sometimes it's unrealistic expectations that from various different parties that
next question.
Sorry, jumped ahead. But I think there's so many causes of it in the industry, and I just don't think anybody quite addresses it properly. I think at LPL we go a long way to address a lot of the concerns. We prioritise well-being and mental health. We give them support, we develop them, we train them. There's external resources that they can take advantage of. We closely manage all of the caseloads to make sure that the ratios are decent from complex to freehold. We make sure that only the right licence holders, they get the right cases, that according to their experience, they're only dealing with cases that they can deal with, and those that are training get the right mentorship and support that they need. So we hope that we've got it right to help with the burnout. Clearly it is a stressful job, there's lots of risk involved. You're helping people with possibly the biggest purchase that they'll ever make, and they're not interested in what sits behind the job that you're doing. They just want those keys, or they just want the balance of monies from the sale or whatever. And I think it's really that misunderstanding again that we talked about earlier can lead to unnecessary stress and frustration. But we like to think that we've got it right. Our turnover of staff since we've adopted this approach for the last 3 years has we're substantially below the industry average, which we're delighted with, and we like to think that we've got a happy team. Not all the time, because it's not utopia, but
it's not just retention though, is it?
It's development.
Yeah, it's retention,
personally and
it's also
professionally.
Yeah, and people know that if you're a good place, they'll seek you out. I just don't like recruitment companies.
Well, it is, as you say, a merry-go-round. If they send somebody to you, you can guarantee once they're out of their 6 month, that person will be targeted again to move on to the next company. And it's sad treating those individuals as a commodity almost. But you see it time in, time out.
Yeah, we had a feeler in Cardiff who was passed to us. And on the day that the recruitment company sent us a lead for another one, they went back to her and said, I can find you something better. And it's just like, I'm sorry, I'm not working with you guys anymore. But I mean, it goes back to the culture bit. It goes on these questions, what's the biggest point of friction between conveyancers, agents and brokers? And I think if you've got that culture right, and your guys are bought into the benefit of what those people bring to you, that you're just really an extension, and we are just an extension of the advice that they're giving.
Each of you are just an extension of the other, and I think that that communication piece is really important, because we're all human. When things do go wrong, we want to be able to pick the phone up and not have an awkward conversation, to be able to say, actually, this is what's happened on this case, but this is what we're going to do to sort it out, and actually have a strong relationship to be able to do that.
Yeah. But again, that's communication.
Massively.
I think we're probably coming towards it, and I've not even asked half the questions. We could obviously talk for hours and hours about this. I think there's a mutual passion in terms of what we want to do, and how we can possibly achieve it. So where should education really start? Is it with the agent, the conveyancer, the broker, or is it earlier? And I think everything almost goes full circle all the time in terms of who's got a responsibility to it, and we all have. We all have,
absolutely. I was just going to say, I don't think any one party has got responsibility for any of it. I think as an industry, we should all be coming together and working together.
So if you could give every buyer a 30-second crash course in conveyancing, what would it be?
Oh gosh, that's really tough. Probably just a greater understanding of the end-to-end process, which we do have a really handy hints conveyancing guide that goes out in our initial pack, and that literally is about 10 pictures of the stages, and it goes right from putting an offer in, offer accepted, right the way through. So I'd probably put that on, and I know that we have got plans to do this, so to make it into a video, and because people don't like reading, do they? So we'd put it into pictures, but now people don't like looking at pictures, they prefer watching a video. So we're going to do that, and hopefully it will only be about 30 seconds.
Cool.
The process is really that simple.
Yeah. And I suppose finally, with all the changes and all the tech that's now supposedly at our fingertips, which digital tools or innovations are currently making the biggest difference for you guys at LPL?
I'd have to say probably a source of wealth reporting, which at the touch of a button will collate probably 10 years worth of bank statements into one report, which is, doesn't negate the need for us to go through it and check it, but it also collates everything. It just makes it quicker. Streamlines it.
So again, that's supporting the people that are actually doing the job. And but is it the conveyancer's job to actually do that in the first place? Are they forensic accountants? Or are they legal?
No, absolutely not. They're legal people, and as I say, none of them want to be going through more bank statements than they need to. So that innovation is just hugely, from a time saving and an actual practical point of view.
And there's lots of tech questions. I suppose as a final one though, what's the next big opportunity for combining tech with great client experience?
AI. Very controversial, I know, but I'm a big supporter of it used in the right way. I think it can take a lot of the donkey work off the conveyancer, again, to just free them up to do what they're good at. And from communication with clients, with AI agents.
AI communication.
They're brilliant. They're so good. And somebody was trying to sell us a package, and they rang up to sell us this package, and at the end of it, it was an AI agent that you were having a conversation with. It's so clever.
Yeah.
So clever.
I had a mortgage broker ring me, and it blasted me off when I answered the phone, and it apologised. And it was only about 30 seconds in I realised. I asked the question, is this an AI call? And it admitted that it was. It's like, oh my God.
It's frightening. It's really frightening. But I think for those routine parts of the job that AI can do, that anybody could do, I think that's a great resource to develop. So looking forward to watching that space.
AI then, okay. Do you think AI will ever be able to do a conveyancing job?
Not as it is at the moment. No, I think you will always need that human. People like, not all of our clients want to speak to us, but those that do, I think it's really important to have that human intervention. So running alongside our tech, we have
to embrace it.
We have real people.
Use it for its efficiencies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And some people, they actually do just want to talk to you, which I know is unusual in this day and age, but I think that's important, that, we're not a firm for everybody, because we are modern, streamlined, tech driven and all of that. But we do like to cater for those people that do still want to speak to a human being. Fabulous.
Well, I think, Louise, there's tons more questions to ask, but we've run out of time, unfortunately. Probably need another hour.
For hours, yeah.
But thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
And thank you to everybody for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to let us know in the comments below. See you again soon.